of FF10. All right, so I thought about doing this for a while. I guess just because so much time has kind of like passed since this came out, and people's perceptions. I don't even have a webcam set up, Asa, so that's not happening. Like people's perceptions of Birth by Sleep have like changed over time, and holy fuck, this game is much. My perceptions of Birth by Sleep have kind of changed over time too. Plus, it's kind of a crazy video, and I kind of like I really did just like kind of no life this for like maybe like 6 weeks, 8 weeks or something. Like I really just put up like my heart and soul into this one when it came out. There's also I don't know, it's funny to look back on. There's also going to be some stuff that is going to be kind of cringe because I thought it was funny. Thought it was so funny back then, but it really wasn't. So we get to laugh at that. It'll be great. It'll be a good time all around, you know. There's gonna be a lot of pauses. I think I'm gonna pause a lot on certain spots, and then I'll probably just talk about it. You know, I think that's probably how I'll do this. BBS bad. See, like I think that's what a lot of people think, right? Is that that's kind of what it boils down to as BBS bad, KH2 good. And maybe that's kind of how it felt like back in the day. But I think it's a little bit more nuanced now. And maybe that's why I'm doing this, is that like it felt like it was such a fucking like, well, herder easy peasy. Let's just shit talk on BBS. You know. And just say some dumb shit. I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit more nuanced nowadays. We'll probably talk about that. Plus, you know, it's really interesting. Like, it's like a 49-minute video essay. In 2016, like, almost hour-long video essays didn't exist. Like, they were fairly new still. And then it was like, and then a few years later, like, all the video essays started coming out, and people are making fucking 3-hour, 4-hour. BB's a BBS apologist. No, it's not like that. I don't know. If this was made today, it'd be 5 hours long. Oh man. Okay. Anyway, I think maybe I'll start with like why did I make this? I felt like I made this video because I had felt this way for like a long time. This was like in 2016, right? I think I had felt this way about this game since like 2010, maybe even earlier than that. Hey, Simply, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, like I felt like I was kind of crazy because like I grew up and then everybody's like talking about like their favorite Kingdom Hearts games, and everyone's like, man, Birth by Sleep is a fucking 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. This game is absolutely amazing. And I'm just like, I felt like I was a crazy person. I was like, what in the hell is going on? So I felt the need. Like it was that just personal desire. Like I've got to get this out. I've got to get out how I feel about this game. And so I did. All right. You know, fuck it. Let's just go ahead and get started. Let's do it. Try and get the volume correct. ...2006 to 2007 was an insane year for Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix had just been released, and everybody was floored by what an amazing job Square Enix had done with the sequel. Is this actually the best? Hold on, this is 360p. Pop this shit up. Here we go. To Kingdom Hearts. With a tight battle system, memorable bosses, and a crazy story with new allies and foes added to the mix,
Kingdom Hearts 2 caught a lot of people's attention. Kingdom Hearts the series was really coming into its own, surprising a lot of people who thought that Cloud and Donald Duck being in the same video game series would be a disaster. The ending to Kingdom Hearts 2 seemed to wrap up everything so well, and to be honest, Square could have just ended the series right here. But with an added cliffhanger at the end and an insane secret ending to boot, Kingdom Hearts looked like it wasn't ending anytime soon. Lots of fans were ecstatic at the thought of a Kingdom Hearts 3, with Nomura even hinting that Kingdom Hearts 3 could be on the horizon. So, with all the faith and patience in the world, fans waited to see what the future of Kingdom Hearts would hold.
My zoom, hold on, let me go back to my zoom.
3, with no more.
My linear zoom, there's no. You're supposed to ease into it and then ease out. You dumb. You're not supposed to just stop.
Or even hinting that
there's
Kingdom Hearts 3 could be
now.
on the horizon. So, with all the faith and patience in the world, fans waited to see what the future of Kingdom Hearts would hold.
I sound exactly the same. I kind of do, don't I? This is when did I make this? So this is 8 years ago. I'm 30. Made this when I was 22. I haven't aged. I haven't aged at all.
What did we get, might you ask? After Kingdom Hearts 2, Nomura announced the release of 3 handheld games, 358 Days Over 2,
Look at my arrows.
Birth by Sleep, and Recoded, that would eventually tie into an unnamed Kingdom Hearts game,
Oh my God,
now
look at that
known as Dream
animation.
Drop
Holy
Distance.
shit.
With no Kingdom Hearts 3 in sight, lots of fans were unsure about these handheld games. And because a lot of fans didn't own these handheld consoles or didn't really find it worth it to get them, a lot of them stopped playing after Kingdom Hearts 2, hoping that Kingdom Hearts 3 would eventually come around the bend.
So, man, I can't believe I actually dropped that, but that's... So, I really do feel like that was a big deal. Square Enix's decision to just hold off on console games for Kingdom Hearts for basically a decade after KH2 and release like 4 straight Kingdom Hearts handheld games before eventually getting to Kingdom Hearts 3 or 0.2, I guess, was like maybe one of the most damaging things that Square Enix could have done to the franchise. Like, kind of underrated. No one really talks about it, but it really was. I truly feel like it was an absolutely horrible decision to... And I mean, to be honest, I think so. There's backstory to that, right? Because they didn't just... I don't think that they just decided like, oh man, we're just going to put this on the back burner and just only release mobile games. The reason is because Nomura was gone. He was focused on Versus 13, right? And that just continuously got worse. And yeah, dev hell for Versus 13 just got worse and worse and worse. And I guess the thought was that we were going to get back to this a lot sooner, but it didn't happen. And so like 2015, 2016 rolls around. He finally gets kicked off the team. Final Fantasy 15 finally gets made. And then, you know, we finally get back to Kingdom Hearts getting a console release. I'm not even sure when 0.2 came out, but yeah, if truly, like, I don't think that it was Nomura's fault. I mean, it wasn't his fault entirely, but Square Enix's desire to experiment with handheld games and then Kingdom Hearts being the franchise that was just a guinea pig for that, I think was a recipe for disaster. It was awful. It was just a horrible, horrible decision. And I think that the damage that it's done is, I'm not even sure if the scope of it is still, like, I feel like it's still done damage to the fan base specifically. Because people have this perception. Well, I mean, actually, we can get into that later. But yeah, let's go.
So what about the fans that did stick with the series to play all these handhelds? How did these games fare? See, they were highly rated KH games and they got good reviews and all, but the games themselves were just confusing. Each new game introduced a completely different battle system, way different than Kingdom Hearts 1 or Kingdom Hearts 2's. And not only that, the story seemed to get more and more confusing with each new game. Lots of new characters and plot points.
Yeah, okay, so, you know, honestly, I really should have avoided... I should have avoided that. I should have avoided the story is confusing, because I think that it's way more nuanced than that, but of course I lead with that. Bad call on my part. If I were making this video today, I would have avoided the Kingdom Hearts so confusing story sort of, I don't know. I would have avoided that. I think there are other things that I would have pinpointed as opposed to
Points
that.
were introduced, and a lot of questions were left unanswered, leaving fans scratching their heads trying to understand everything. Some fans didn't really know what to think of the series, but still waited patiently for the fabled Kingdom Hearts 3 to be released.
Eventually.
This is such a huge contrast
True.
from 10 years ago when the series was nothing short of hype, and people couldn't wait for the next big Kingdom Hearts to come out. So what happened to the series? When did all this confusion start taking place? In this video,
Yeah,
I'll be
it's your
answering
fault,
these questions
Birth
by
by
taking a
Sleep.
look at one of the handheld games
You
released
piece
after
of
Kingdom Hearts 2.
shit.
It's widely considered to be a masterpiece, both in how it advances the Kingdom Hearts story and its new gameplay system, and it's called Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. I chose this game in particular because it is, for all intents and purposes, the next big Kingdom Hearts game after Kingdom Hearts 2. And I think this video will help answer some questions about the series and the direction that it's headed. Throughout this review, I'll be answering 2 questions. 1. How does Birth by Sleep compare to Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2? And 2. How does Birth by Sleep impact the rest of the Kingdom Hearts series? With all of that in mind, let's get started with the story.
That's fair.
Alright, so let me ease you guys into this. When it comes to video games, for me, personally, the story usually comes second to actual gameplay. Heck, back in the day, some video games didn't even have a story. You'd play a game about shooting asteroids in space and Pac-Man eating a bunch of orbs. Over the years, though, plot has been incorporated more and more into video games, to the point where some modern games shoot for an entirely cinematic experience.
Actually kind of true. TBH. Was kind of spitting with that one.
And that's great for some people, but honestly, I'm just not into that stuff. Now, I'm not saying that I hate having story in video games. I love a good story. But if I had to define to you what I think good storytelling is, for me, a good story immerses you into a video game universe and gets you to want to play the game more.
Yeah, I used Arkham Asylum there, like of all games, and I really could have. I could have. Oh man, I could. I mean, especially with Naughty Dog, I could have gone with some better examples. Definitely better examples.
Basically, the relationship between gameplay and story is one where they complement each other. And this, my friends, is exactly what Kingdom Hearts 1 was able to do. Lots of people went into Kingdom Hearts 1 expecting a total kiddie game, only to be blown away by an overall amazing storytelling experience that was accessible to people of all ages. But I mean, how could they make such a complex RPG story so accessible to even little 10-year-old me?
Oh my
KH1
God.
focused on a story that empowered players to want to play the game.
That actually is like 10-year-old me. Hold on, go back. Wait a second. Where is it? It's like fucking god damn it. How did I smile like that? I can actually do that smile still. That's hilarious. My god.
Me. KH1 focused on a story that empowered players to want to play the game, and it did that by giving you purpose as a player. And your purpose is simple. You're the chosen wielder of the keyblade. And to
God
save the
damn
world
it.
from the forces of darkness, aka the kick-ass Disney villains, you have to explore these worlds, defeat the darkness, and seal the keyholes, while also looking for your lost friends. And as a player, this is a fun, fulfilling purpose. You're already pumped that you're the chosen wielder of the mythical keyblade. That alone is super empowering. But then you get to go to each of these cool new worlds and stop the Disney villains by teaming up with other Disney characters, and they help you on your quest and find and seal the keyhole. The story and gameplay in Kingdom Hearts 1 worked together, in tandem, to get you as a player immersed and invested in.
It definitely, I mean, KH1 definitely was pretty easy to grasp, I think. Like there's even more to it. Like, so like 6 hours of cutscenes, I think for sure makes it like you, I feel like you get more out of the 6 hours of cutscenes in KH1 than you do some of the later KH games, which like dwarf those numbers considerably. And I think because there isn't really an overarching plot to focus on, because I think that's kind of what a lot of emphasis gets put on in later games, is like this whole franchise and saga and whatever has kind of like been building on top of itself. Like it's been building momentum, and you know, you need to remember stuff from previous games, and that's where a lot of like the shock value and a lot of the craziness is going to come from. So they kind of focus on that, or at least that's maybe what the fan base focuses on. Whereas here, it really was kind of like it was like a one shot, I guess. It was just like it's one, you know, didn't have to you know, think about it too much as far, you know, so all the you know, magical stuff that's going on with the keyblade and just kind of you know, exploring the world. It felt like a Final Fantasy game, I guess, where it's a one shot, it's condensed, it is, you know, open shut book, so you can kind of enjoy it just like that and not have to think about like previous titles or future titles or anything like that. Yeah, grounded, maybe that's a good way to put it. Yeah. KH1 definitely has that going for it. I mean, and it's not just that it's simple. Like it truly, I think it has incredibly strong themes that I would still today say that KH1 is my favorite story out of the whole franchise. Because the themes are just so powerful, and it gets that right. It really focuses in on what makes Sora Sora, what makes Riku Riku. You know, what is light, what is darkness, how does that relate to, like, how do you relate that in human terms and normal terms to, you know, the kid that's playing. It's really good. I think it's pretty powerful stuff. I like it.
And they're super cool and expansive universe. The characters are set up well, the KH universe is interesting and fun to explore, the Disney worlds fit well in this universe, and it was just overall amazing. Kingdom Hearts 2's story does a lot less of this. The purpose that set up everything so well in Kingdom Hearts 1 is kind of non-existent.
You know, honestly, I kind of shafted. I don't even think I talk about Roxas's story. Okay, like if there's anything that really gets you feeling stuff, it's Roxas, and Roxas I think is kind of the through line for Kingdom Hearts 2. Like if you look at it through the lens of, you know, Roxas existing and then, you know, recombining with Sora and how he alters Sora, I guess, like how Sora acts now that he's recombined with them, and how everybody else treats him because he has that relationship with Roxas, because Roxas has that relationship with Sora. I think it does make it pretty strong. Plus, there's a lot of other stuff going on here too. So you could say that KH2 isn't near, like, I do think that it's still kind of flawed, and it's got a lot of the flaws that like future Kingdom Hearts titles do as far as story is concerned. Like if I had to pinpoint exactly where I thought the story was starting to fall off the rails, it was probably Kingdom Hearts 2, but I mean, when it fell off the rails or started to go in a direction that I wasn't a big fan of, it was Birth by Sleep, I think.
Existent here. When you go to Disney worlds, there really isn't a sense of impending danger, and a lot of it degenerates into this annoying formula of
Disney shenanigans.
I'm so funny.
Just fucking killed someone. Disney worlds just turn into rehashes of Disney movies instead of being super involved in the overall story of the KH universe, like in Kingdom Hearts 1. And because of this formula, visits to Disney worlds just kind of felt like whatever. And the overall story just started to drag. They also decided to really expand the universe, and a lot of new characters were added to the mix. There were new plot points added, and it just kind of got a little too complex and a little confusing at times. Like, why the fuck does Kairi have a keyblade? But I can forgive.
I mean, it's kind of true.
KH2. It stuck with the foundation that KH1 built up, and I personally think that was the most important part. Overall, KH2's story was still enjoyable enough for me. So, what about Birth by Sleep? Does it bring back that deep sense of immersion that KH1 created? Does it at least create an engaging experience that's fun to follow, like in Kingdom Hearts 2? Oh, you thought I was serious? Oh! Oh, no. The answer is no. Let's take a look at the characters, because they're new and fresh and bound to be interesting, right? Right? Ericus and Xehanort are voiced by Mark Hamill and Leonard Nimoy, two huge powerhouses in voice acting, and they both do a pretty amazing job portraying their characters. Haley Joel Osment returns to the series voicing Vanitas, and you could really tell he had a lot of fun voicing a villain with no remorse and just being overall insane. Honestly, most characters do a pretty good job in Birth by Sleep. It's really when we get to our three main characters where things start to go south real fast. Terra is just generally stupid and just a horrible judge of character. He's basically Anakin Skywalker 2.0. He listens to everything Master Xehanort says and ignores how painfully obvious it is that Master Xehanort is evil.
You're fine as you are. Darkness cannot be destroyed. It can only be channeled.
Yes. Thank you, Master.
Oh, yeah, okay. That makes sense. You've been trained your whole life to push darkness away, and the moment this guy says, use the darkness, you're okay with it. That's just great. You know, if you want to believe evil McFinger Wiggles over here, just... Could I just get a montage of this guy wiggling his fingers?
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
This is cringe. Cringe.
Just a little bit.
No.
Tara's like,
No. Okay. At least it's over with. Jesus Christ. Ah! It is not cringe. Jason Derulo. That was some cringe right there. God damn it. I did do that. That was my fault. That was my fault, Dan. Okay. So about Tara. Yeah, I think I don't disagree with what I had to say. You know what, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna let it rock for a little bit longer.
Yeah, Riku was an annoying little bitch in Kingdom Hearts 1, but at least he was believable. Tara will learn a heartfelt lesson in one world, go to another world, and just fuck up again and be evil for no reason.
This is actually true.
We have to have some form of progression in the story, so whatever. Vin is basically a more annoying version of Sora, and to be honest, that alone is an accomplishment. Congratulations, Birth by Sleep. Here's your trophy. And I think the big reason Vin is so annoying is because...
That was kind of funny. I forgot that I did that.
Sleep. Here's your trophy. And I think the big reason Vin is so annoying is because he's about as dumb as Tara. Like in this scene, for example. Vin's in his room and a creepy dude in a mask that Vin has never seen before tells him to go after Tara because Tara is leaving and he'll become a changed person. And then he leaves through a dark portal. What should Vin do? Should he tell Master Ericus? Tell Aqua? Ignore it completely? No, of course not. He just leaves the security of his world and chases after Tara because how else could we possibly move the plot along? Aqua is the only one out of the three with a level head, and I kind of feel bad for her trying to pick up after these two dumbasses. However, my biggest problem with Aqua is easily her voice acting. Tara has a huge issue with this too. He just kind of mutters a lot when he tries and sound emotional, and he just kind of sounds like,
The darkness. Where did it come from?
but see, with Aqua, it's infinitely worse. Like, here, just listen to a few.
Somewhere out there, there's this tree with star-shaped fruit.
He's already here.
Don't, Zack. Yes, I'm quite certain she's someone we're supposed to protect. Jack, hurry. Then, I'm sorry. I might not make it back as soon as I thought, but I promise I'll be there one day to wake you up.
But see, these are just the minor gripes that I have about Terra, Aqua, and Vin. But what really gets me though is how much the story tries to build up that these guys have this legit friendship, and it just falls flat on its face. Terra, Aqua, and Vin are built up to...
Well, okay. Here, maybe I'll take my break here to get at the point that I was. So, I feel like the biggest thing about Birth by Sleep's story is that it's supposed to be this horrific tragedy, right? I think that's kind of the through line for the entire thing, is that it's a tragic event where these three Keyblade wielders are duped, basically, by their trusted master, who turns on everybody and turns to darkness in order to seek Kingdom Hearts and forge the Keyblade, right? And so the whole time, because you know who Xehanort is from previous games, you're kind of like expecting it to happen, and you're just kind of like waiting to see how it all plays out. And to me, I feel if you don't buy that, if you don't buy that the plan works, then I think a lot of the structural integrity of the narrative falls apart. And you start blaming everybody for being stupid, and that's kind of how I felt. Because I think that Master Xehanort's entire plan in this game is absurdly convenient. It is saved by absurd convenience. It could have fallen apart and been discovered before the game even started, for one, and at multiple points throughout the game, people could have found him out, and everybody could have banded against him, and this wouldn't have happened. But that didn't happen, so, like, it's Anakin. And so you know what? If we're going to do that, if we're going to do the Anakin thing, right? If we're going to do that, we got to talk about why that works. Okay, so we're going to talk about Terra, right? We're gonna, and it. I really don't hate it. I don't hate the idea of this tragedy, and I don't hate the idea if we're gonna rip off the prequels of Star Wars, which is fine. We can do that. We have to understand why it works in the first place. Okay. Why does Anakin Skywalker fall to the dark side in the prequels? Is it because Darth Sidious told him to? Or is it because of all the other things that happened within the first two movies that was leading him down this path? Because the Jedi Order is a freaking... It is an archaic, hypocritical shell of itself that tells Anakin, a emotional young kid, to not feel emotions, to push them aside, to not feel love for other people, because love is attachment, and attachment will eventually lead to the dark side, and to not aspire for great things, even though he's a great war general. The time constraint, the time constraint is part of it. Yeah, like we can all, like, sure, did Darth Sidious, like, lure him to the dark side? Yes, he did. But if we're honest, the Jedi Order was given their Messiah. It was given their Jesus Christ, Anakin Skywalker, who was going to save everybody. He was the prophecy. He was the chosen one. And they just handed him over to the devil. They handed him to Darth Sidious. It was entirely their fault. So when I get to Birth by Sleep, and I'm like, okay, so if we're gonna rip off Anakin Skywalker, okay, if Terra is Anakin Skywalker and Master Xehanort is Darth Sidious, we need, and because Terra has a support system and he has people around him that love him and are his friends and would do anything for him and want the best for him, there has to be something. There has to be something about that relationship. There has to be someone or something going on with Terra that is pushing him towards Master Xehanort to get him to have a misplaced belief that, oh wait, Master Xehanort might have a point and might be right about something. He might be right about this balance of light and darkness thing that he's talking about. Maybe I'll believe him and I'll do what he says. Jealousy of Aqua being a master and not him. I feel like if it's just that, if it's just jealousy, then I feel like that just makes Terra a selfish little baby who can't handle like the slightest bit of rejection and then just runs away from everybody and doesn't talk to Master Ericus about it, doesn't talk to Aqua about it, doesn't talk to Vin about, like, there's, if it's just that, if it's just the insecurities, which we only get like one cutscene of that, then then it makes him feel one-dimensional. It just makes him feel like he's greedy and that he's selfish. And I just don't think that that's enough to make it seem like Terra is a reasonable person that would come to that reasonable conclusion. But as we said, established, he's dumb. And that's the problem is that there's such an easy answer. Like, all he has to do is have, like, maybe Ericus is pushing him too hard, right? Maybe Ericus is pushing him too hard and is too hard on him for having some darkness in his heart. Right? Like, do the Star Wars thing. Do the Star Wars thing where the Jedi Order is a sham and it's archaic and it has old values that need to be abolished. And it doesn't see light and darkness for what it is, right? Like, the Jedi Order says you can't feel emotions, you can't want anything, you can't have... Then make Master Ericus that. Make Ericus the one who's pushing him to Master Xehanort. And there's not enough of that. Like, I don't believe there's enough of that. There's not enough of that in the game to make me believe that Terra falling to the dark side was a reasonable outcome outside of just sheer convenience or sheer stupidity on Terra's part. And that's where I don't feel like this work. Like, that's where I feel like the tragedy doesn't work. So that's my whole thing. My whole thing is that the tragedy, like, at any point, like, and I always bring, if at any point the trio, after they get divided from each other at the very beginning of the game, came together and talked to Master Ericus or came and talked to each other about what was happening, then Xehanort's plan would have failed. But because nobody does that for whatever reason, even though they do meet up multiple times, it just happens. Xehanort's plan just works without a hitch. There's no flaw in it whatsoever. And it instead of it making Master Xehanort seem like the conniving, like, master genius that they want him to be, like Darth Sidious is, it just makes the whole plan seem completely convenient. And I just don't buy that. I do not buy that. If anything, you know what? F this. You know what? Master Xehanort wrote a freaking letter to Ericus after he blasted him in the face with some dark beams and was like, yeah, dude, we should really, like, reawaken Kingdom Hearts and use the light there and see what's going on. We should do that. After all of that shit went down, he was like, yo, sorry about that. I know we might have some hard feelings, but I do want to come back and I want to see how your pupils are doing. Keep an eye on that Terra guy. He might be a little, you know. And Ericus was just like, yeah, dude, totally. I'm for it. Come on down. Everything that you did before, no problem. I'm sure you're over it. I'm sure you're a good guy now. I'm sure you were just misguided. I'm sure, you know, you're good. You're good. Totally good. And come on, dude. You cannot sit me down and expect me to believe that nonsense, dude. It just sullies the whole thing for me. And that's where I come from, okay? That's where it is for me. I know if you're watching this and you like it, and you're okay with it. And that's fine, okay? But this is why I don't. This is why it's sullied for me. I just don't buy it. And because I don't buy the tragedy, the characters themselves come off less complex and less three-dimensional than they could have been if they just put in like a tiny bit more effort into how the whole thing played out. Like, I should, like, oh my God. Like, if we really want to rip off Star Wars, then you got to do it right. You have to understand why it works in the first place and why it's so strong in the first place. And this is this is the Walmart version of that. So, yeah, that's my thing. That's my, it really does kind of come down to Terra and why he just, like, halfway through the story, he's already on board. Ventus is like, what is Ventus? Ventus is Terra's lapdog. He just idolizes Terra, loves him to an annoying degree. And I really don't even it's hard for me to believe that he has much of a personality outside of wanting to be best friends with everybody and idolizing Terra. The only thing that really gives him a personality towards the end is the fact that he's actually like one half of the weapon of mass destruction, the biggest weapon of mass destruction in the entire series. So Vin feels like a plot device. He feels like more of an object than he does an actual person with a personality. And in the end, to be fair, he does the noble thing and he sacrifices himself for the greater good. He does the Sora thing because Sora sacrificed himself for the greater good of his of Kairi so that she could be brought back. So he does that, yes. But outside of that, I feel like there's not much going on with Ventus. He's a little vanilla. And I also feel like that's the reason why he's in Union Cross and he's like, a time traveler from like decades past or ages past. Because they felt like they didn't really have much going on for him. So they had to push him back further and further so that he could have maybe more of a personality and more going on in previous games. So yeah, I don't know. That's how I feel about Vin. Aqua's fine. Honestly, I think that Aqua's TBH is good character. I just wish that Willa Holland would emote a little bit more. Like, to this day, I still don't think that her performance in this game is that great. I just don't. This is one of those moments where I wish, where the JP dub is, I think, superior when it comes to Aqua. I think that her JP dub is way more conviction, and it makes her seem very strong, very noble. She has conviction. Yeah, that's how I feel about the characters. Anyway, moving on. Probably wasting lots of time.
To have the same kind of friendship that Sora, Riku, and Kairi have. Heck, they even make direct references to Kingdom Hearts 1 in the opening cutscenes.
Hey, look at that shit.
Whoa! Whoa!
But see, in the opening cutscenes of Kingdom Hearts 1, you did believe these guys were friends. They were joking around all the time, having competitions, planning to get off the island on this thing.
Not a raft, I don't fucking know.
The dialogue and overall feel I got from these guys clearly showed a friendship between them. It just felt natural watching it. But in Birth by Sleep, it's just not. Just check out how these guys interact.
In other words, they're just like you, Ven.
What does that mean?
You'll find out someday, I'm sure.
I want to know now.
You're too young to know now. Boy, sometimes you are such a girl.
Hey, what do you mean sometimes?
Why are they laughing?
Like, everything about this friendship, from the awkward dialogue to the delivery, it just feels forced. They just feel like strangers forced together to pretend to be friends. And the problem is, a huge chunk of the game is devoted to this friendship. There are constant flashbacks to these guys hanging out and sparring, and more sparring, and do these guys do anything other than spar? In the final world even, each character proclaims something about their friendship before going to the final battle. It's supposed to be this big, powerful moment where you really connect with them, but you don't, really. And this is a huge problem because if I can't connect with the main characters that I'm playing as, how do you expect me to care about anything in your stupid dumb story? This leads to my next point. See, in Kingdom Hearts 1, I mentioned how—
Man. 22-year-old BB really had the sauce. Can't believe this.
Disney Worlds were really involved and felt important, and I explained one reason for that is because
he's got
the Disney Worlds were part of your quest and overall
maybe a bit
purpose as a player.
misguided, but he's
another
got the
reason
vision.
they worked out so well was because the story that happens in the Disney Worlds is tied to the overall story of the KH universe. Let me try and explain. Anybody remember this scene? This legit is one of my favorite cutscenes in all of Kingdom Hearts.
I think if I maybe did this differently, I wish that I didn't do the direct comparison between BBS and KH1. Like, I could have maybe done, like, light comparisons to KH1 and maybe other KH games, but I really did just kind of like this 50-50, like, comparison between... I don't know. I wish I would have done it, like, a tad bit differently.
Not only is it dark and sinister, and it shows you all these Disney villains, and you have all this nostalgia, but what this established...
Because it kind of makes me feel like come off as, like, a gigantic homer. And I at least rewatching it, it makes me come off as a gigantic homer to KH1. And it's like, I could probably get back on track here a little bit.
Is a working force against Sora. The Disney villains know about the universe around them. They know about the keyholes and the keyblade and Heartless and all the other worlds. So when you go to Agrabah and you see Jafar, you know that he's after the keyhole to that world, and if you don't stop him, the same thing that happened to Destiny Islands will happen here. This is really important to establish because no other KH game really does it like that. In KH2, there is no real opposing threat until like halfway through the game. You'd go to Land of Dragons and Shan Yu would be evil just because he's evil. I mean, Pete would be there sometimes, but let's be honest, Pete contributes about as much to the plot as the fucking brooms in Disney Town, and they're 10 times more badass.
X gon' give it to ya, he gon' give it to ya. X gon' give it to ya, he gon' give it to ya.
So what about Disney Worlds and...
Man, look at that filter. What an artistic decision. Look at this nonsense.
So what about Disney Worlds and Birth by Sleep? Well, it's the same thing as KH2, really. You have the unversed and Disney villains, but you don't really feel a serious opposing threat. The only thing that Disney Worlds really do for Birth by Sleep's story is attempt to strengthen Terra, Aqua, and Vin's friendship, which I already explained is super hollow in the first place. Oh man, Vin's feeling depressed about being left behind and has a flashback to the good old days.
You're trying too hard to move your body. You need to learn to let your body move you. Right?
What's that about?
Look
I
at
know
him.
that feel, Vin. I know.
So because there's nothing
He's so
really
dead.
substantial going on here, you eventually just stop caring about Disney Worlds altogether. It's like they decided, oh, we can't have Disney Worlds be too important now. We have to make way for our own super amazing, well thought out plot with interesting Square Enix characters. Great work, Nomura.
Wonderful.
And this is honestly what Disney Worlds have been reduced to nowadays. When people say in reviews how
All the stuff you love from Kingdom Hearts is here. Different Disney worlds,
Damn.
Final Fantasy cameos.
that's really all you
Shot at the completionist. Goddamn.
get. People nowadays don't go to Atlantica to stop Ursula from plunging the world in darkness. No, they want to go to Frozen World so they can fucking hear Goofy sing Let It Go.
Let it go.
Hey kids, remember how in KH1 Sora was a unique and interesting character
Yeah, man, I really went overboard here. I just keep
to play
going.
as because the Keyblade chose him as his wielder? Dang. Wouldn't it suck if Birth by Sleep just took all that away from you? Well, too late for that shit!
Okay, BB, now you're just making shit up. Birth by Sleep never did any of that.
Oh, I beg to differ.
When you're first introduced to the Keyblade, everything
Oh yeah, here we go. We're gonna talk about the Keyblade now. I'll watch, but maybe I'll like stop a little bit and
points to the Keyblade being sentient and having the
Talk
ability to
about it.
choose its wielder. Remember this quote?
The Keyblade chooses its master, and it chose you.
I mean, yeah, it's cute and all, but it sets up the Keyblade having a mind of its own, and being able to deem you worthy of being its master. And I explained earlier how this is empowering as a player, that out of everyone, you are the chosen wielder. Just look at how jealous Leon is. And this is further reinforced when the Keyblade is taken away from you by Riku. As a kid, I interpreted this as Riku having gained so much command over the darkness that he could force the Keyblade into submission, making the Keyblade heed his power and come to his side. And as a player, I'd buy that. The ultra-sentient Keyblade probably would recognize raw power as a quality that a Keyblade wielder would have, and would choose Riku over Sora. And then
This part of the video is where you really see the sequelitis influence. Yeah. If anybody couldn't already pick it out, I hadn't mentioned it up to this point, but I definitely was like head over heels for Egoraptor's sequelitis series. Basically, the entire structure of this video is entirely based around sequelitis. Entirely. Even like maybe the jokes and like the cadence and everything, kind of probably just like sequelitis. It's not entirely something that I'm proud of, but I think I think creators have their moments where they're inspired by somebody and they just kind of make their video exactly like that. It was this before I saw Aaron Hansen play. Yeah, I wasn't really watching. I wasn't really
Sora,
watching
in
him play again.
cheesy shonen fashion, gets the Keyblade to choose him again when he says,
I don't need a weapon. My friends are my power.
it's not about pure strength.
I'm still proud of that. That was pretty good. Like the sheer silence and the huh! Like that was pretty good.
Strength or power. It's about friendship and trust and connecting with others. And that's what the Keyblade recognized as more powerful than Riku. It's almost like Sora and the Keyblade have developed this relationship over time, and they've come to know and respect each other. So why does any of this matter? Well, it matters because this is the magic of Kingdom Hearts 1's story. I mean, it sounds dumb, but these silly story elements were reasons that I connected with Sora as a player. The Keyblade, this fabled weapon that makes you feel cool as a player, chooses Sora as its wielder, and at first you don't really understand why, but then you learn that it's because of Sora's kindness and his ability to connect with people. And because of both of these things, this allows me, as a player, to connect with Sora and want to play as him. This is what story in video games has the ability to do. It gives you reasons to care about the game and want to continue playing. And one way of doing that is by connecting with the characters. Which Birth by Sleep is already fucked up, by the way. Good fucking going, guys. So, throughout most of Kingdom Hearts 1, you're only aware of one Keyblade.
Yeah, so I guess like I think what I'm trying to get at here eventually is that like Birth by Sleep plays a part in retroactively damaging like the structure of KH1's story, I suppose. That the Keyblade by choosing Sora, quote unquote choosing Sora, it's a significant thing, and then later on you kind of realize why he's the chosen one, quote unquote, and so you're kind of like, okay, so like you spend the entire game kind of realizing, oh, so the whole like friendship thing that he is able to do with every single Disney World, all the people, Donald, like you realize that that's kind of the superpower that he has, and that's why you love him. And the Keyblade is kind of like the authority figure that kind of bestows that upon him. And kind of, I don't know, it ties everything together, makes it work. It's the thing that ties together Sora and Riku's relationship throughout the entire game. It is it's pivotal. It's very pivotal. And I think what I'm trying to get at here is that Birth by Sleep eventually kind of tarnishes that by getting rid of the whole like Keyblade chooses you aspect.
The one Sora wields until you get to the end and realize that there are two. In Kingdom Hearts 2, there were 3 Keyblades, which is kind of weird because, I kind of thought that Sora's Keyblade was supposed to be the only one. But this never really bothered me because you could infer that the 3 Keyblades came from the 3 different realms. Sora's the chosen wielder from the realm of light, Mickey from the realm of darkness, and Riku from the realm of twilight. No, not that. Twilight. There you go. Thank you. And because Riku and Mickey have qualities that are similar to Sora, it didn't really bother me that they had keyblades too.
BB, are you forgetting about Kyrie's keyblade?
Shut the fuck up, we're not talking about that. In watching the secret movie that would lead to Birth by Sleep, it was pretty obvious that there were more keyblade wielders in the past. But because there are only 3 all the way up to KH2, I kind of assumed that some sort of event would happen, leaving each realm 1 keyblade, and then those keyblades would choose their wielders. I mean, it would
You know, I do still have like decent comedic timing. Like, you know, for as cringe as some of the jokes are, and some of the bits are in this video, I think the comedic timing is still pretty strong. That might be the thing that really kind of carries this thing through.
It only makes sense, right? Right? So according to Birth by Sleep, the keyblade does not choose its master. Nope. People inherit them. You know, like King Louis XV. Because there's so much fucking magic and mystery about inheriting something. How did Mickey get his keyblade? Well, according to Birth by Sleep, he either inherited it from someone or was just taught to wield one. Yeah, he had a keyblade before Kingdom Key D. Because that makes fucking sense. How did Riku get his keyblade? No, it wasn't because he was able to control both light and darkness at the same time and make an amazing leap in character development. No, he inherited it from Terra. How did Sora get his Keyblade? No, it wasn't because the Keyblade noticed his ability to connect with people's hearts. No, it was because Vin's heart was inside his, which is basically the same thing as inheriting Vin's Keyblade. Do you see what I'm getting at here? And I think I really should mention that having the Keyblade choose its master and having the Keyblade passed down to you are two very different things. With the Keyblade choosing you, you are deemed worthy of being a hero by a mythical unknown being, and that's cool and empowering. But with the Keyblade handed down to you through an initiation process, it's just like, alright, time to choose the new Keyblade wielder. Let's see who's on the list. Why is he crossed off? Oh, because of the, well, I mean, that sucks, but I'm sure the next guy will be fine. Oh, yeah. So why is he on the list? Oh, that? Well, I mean, he's alright. He's fine. Yeah, I mean, fuck it, whatever. Sora was never deemed worthy of the Keyblade. The Keyblade just happened to him because of some bullshit chain of events from 10 years ago. Literally everything I said before about Sora being recognized as a unique hero that the Keyblade deemed worthy to wield, everything about Sora growing as a character, and everything about why I felt a personal connection with him is fucking dead. And I can already see the bullshit counter-argument coming, that it doesn't matter if the Keyblade chose Sora or not because his kind-heartedness and friendship is what makes him a hero. But the problem with that argument is he already had those qualities on Destiny Islands, and that didn't make him a hero. But when the Keyblade recognized Sora because of those qualities, that was when he became a hero. That's when you, as a player, could defeat Heartless and travel to different worlds. That's when you, as a player, identified with him as the main character and made a strong connection with him. If you take all of that away, that interferes with legitimate reasons players had for enjoying the story and wanting to play the game. I mean, sure, in terms of continuity, there aren't any gaping plot holes.
Yeah, you know, okay. Maybe this is the part where I step in and I'm like, maybe, like, I do think that, like, just Sora's earnestness and his kind-heartedness, even if the Keyblade didn't choose him, are admirable qualities, and I think that that's perfectly fine. I do think that it kind of gets in the way of... I do think it gets in the way of KH1 storytelling, and kind of throws it through a loop. Because then you go back and you rewatch it, and you're watching it all play out, but in the back of your head you're like, yeah, well, it's actually because of Vin. So I mean, I don't know. So like, it's, I don't know. I do think it does kind of tarnish KH1 a bit
in the story with everybody inheriting Keyblades, but that's not what's important here. What's important is giving players reasons to play the video game. And if you remove those reasons, you're confusing what the player should be caring about. And what importance does the Keyblade have anymore? I mean, at this point, the Keyblade reminds me a lot of the legend of the Super Saiyan in Dragon Ball Z. When Super Saiyan was first introduced, it was part of this mythical legend, and only one person would be able to ascend to that form. But then, more and more people got Super Saiyan, and you get all these different forms, and suddenly, the original Super Saiyan legend isn't as important as it was before. It's the same thing with the keyblade. At first, only one person is able to wield it, but as more and more people get keyblades, the feeling of uniqueness is lost when fucking Lee, of all people, can have a keyblade.
To be fair, that's true. Lee getting a keyblade was completely unnecessary and stupid. And the only reason they gave it to him was because I guess he needed to participate in the final battle. And in order to participate in the final battle, you need a keyblade. That was a dumb decision. They should not have done this. It was really bad. I don't know why they did that. Why do the wielders of light all have to wield the keyblade? They don't have to. It's not necessary. Shouldn't be necessary. Don't know why it's necessary. It's not. It's bad. It's stupid. He doesn't even fight with this thing. He in Cage 3, he just fights with the chakrams. He turns it into chakrams 90% of the time when he's fighting. What was the point of this? Why did we do this? We didn't need to do this. This was dumb. This was dumb and stupid, and we should not have done this. Anyway, continue.
But baby, what about Erica's calling Terra and Aqua chosen wielders? Wouldn't that mean the Keyblade does have a mind of its own?
Yeah, what about that, Square Enix? And if it does, how much of it is inheritance, and how much of it is the Keyblade's choosing? How do Donald and Goofy not know about the Keyblade in Kingdom Hearts 1 when they clearly were around to see Keyblades in Birth by Sleep?
Oh, yeah.
Why did Mickey wait to mention meeting Aqua in the
Oh,
Realm
yeah,
of Darkness
yeah,
nearly like
this.
10 years later? Why isn't Xemnas able to wield the Keyblade? Roxas can, and he's the nobody of Sora. So Xemnas should be able to by that same logic.
Well, baby, if you look at this wonderful explanation by the Gamer's Joy, you'll clearly see
Why are you
that-
still here? Do you see how dumb this gets and how quickly it happens? Now you see all these videos like Kingdom Hearts lore explained and people writing literal essays to explain the story of Kingdom Hearts because people just don't understand it anymore. And not because the story is so wonderfully deep and complex, but because people are genuinely confused by the story.
See, I feel like, okay. True. People do this. I think this is still true. In fact, I think it's even more true. Like, I think a lot of people's intrigue with the franchise is the accumulation of knowledge and lore and making sense of it. So I think it actually does become like a popular thing to explain the lore and get people to understand how it all functions and how it all works, which is fine. I think maybe my problem is that we're focusing more on that. Like, we're focusing more on established lore and what's going to happen next. What's going to be the next big plot twist? What's inside the black box? What's the identity of Yozora, right? Like 8 years later, we're still doing the same thing. We're still focusing on that. Like that's what the story, it seems like that's what the focus of the story is, when in reality I feel it should be more character centric. And I think we just kind of lost the plot there because we just decided to focus more on the plot twists and the what's going to happen once we turn the corner, you know, what's going to happen next, what's going to be the big finale, blah, blah, blah. The big reveal, what's inside the box. I don't know. I think that's kind of where we lost the plot, is because everything that I described earlier in the video I think is valid, where it's like, hey, Sora was dope because we spent the entire game building up his character traits and why those character traits matter, and designing the entire story and all of the plot points around why that matters. Like, why Sora's character matters, why Riku's character matters. Like, that's, I think, what kind of drives it through, and maybe that's why I think it's my favorite. And now we've definitely turned to, like, hey, how do we get to the realm of unreality? Oh, well, here's what's going to happen. The fairy godmother is going to show up, and she's going to get you there in a 3-step process. 1, 2, 3. You got to, come over here with Keyblade, and there's a little star over here. You touch Keyblade to the star, boom, there's a portal. And then you go over there, and there you go. Right? Like, it's bibbidi bobbidi, there you go. Like, there's a focus more on that than I think there is more on, like, I don't know, characters as a whole. All right, anyway.
It's one thing to have a complex story with great characters, but this isn't complex. It's convoluted and bullshit. It's almost like fans of the series nowadays are more concerned about fact-checking and proving that there are no plot holes in the story. And if something doesn't make sense...
That's actually true. That actually is very true.
It obviously will be all explained in Kingdom Hearts 3, right? Here's what I believe. If you have to reach for a Nomura interview or a quote from Ansem's report or Xehanort's report and interpret it in a vague way to explain plot holes in your story, it's too convoluted. It just is.
That actually is also kind of true. And people do that daily on Twitter. And they'll vaguely interpret just random quotes throughout the story and be like, oh my god, that applies right now in the newest reveal. I can't believe that Nomura has planned this all since the very... And it's just so tiring. It is absolutely so tiring, and I refuse to participate in any of it.
When did it become necessary to start explaining all the intricacies of the universe? And I don't agree that Kingdom Hearts needed to explain its backstory and introduce new plot points just for the sake of adding depth to the universe. There are ways to introduce new characters and expand your universe and still keep intact what made your original story so special. Especially when so many other stories have done that before. Ever heard of a guy named J.R.R. Tolkien? No? Oh, well, he's kind of important, author of The Lord of the Rings, it's no big deal. Okay, so Tolkien did this thing where whenever he introduced new lore or depth to his fantasy stories, he always explained the lore in the form of more stories, legends, and fairy tales. He never fully explained his universe because he believed that leaving things up to the imagination was more powerful than keeping things explained and weighed down in reality.
I don't really know if I still vibe with that comparison. Maybe I could have worded it better. Honestly, when I'm looking back on it, I feel like I didn't have a full understanding of how Tolkien's works. I think there's a better answer there, and I kind of just shoehorned it into this video, and I really probably shouldn't have. I think I was maybe on the right track, but I probably did not present it correctly. I don't know. I probably would have changed that.
I wonder what other story does that. Oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts 1. The keyblade is explained in a legend. The creation of the worlds is told in the form of a fairy tale. The ruin and destruction that the keyblade brought, again, is told in a fairy tale. The mysterious nature of darkness, dive to the heart, end of the world? Mystery is one of the most prominent themes in Kingdom Hearts 1, and whether or not this was intentional on Nomura's part, it worked. So why change what was working? What mystery is there in modern Kingdom Hearts storytelling anymore? And the hilarious thing is...
what's inside the box? There you go. That's all that matters, right? That's all that matters. What's inside the box? What's Yozora's identity? That's all that matters. We'll find out. Kingdom Hearts 4. Buy it now.
10 years ago, we were totally fine not knowing everything about the Kingdom Hearts universe. And the reason we were okay with that is because KH1 and KH2 gave us stories with the things that mattered. It was never about the origin of the Keyblade or Xehanort's backstory or whatever.
True, actually. I think I finally got to my big point. My big point was it shouldn't be about this. It should be more about this.
What always worked since the very beginning were character interactions and having a mysterious fantasy world to explore. And that's really the bottom line here. Square Enix wanted to expand the story, add new characters, give explanations, new plot points, when in reality, that's not what we wanted. All this explanation and backstory has only ended up hurting what the first two games originally said.
Yeah, I'll try and put this on YouTube.
And that's the main problem.
I'll try and archive this, and I'll try and put it on YouTube as well.
Alright, so what else is there to talk about? Oh, that. So it only gets worse from here on out. Let's start with KH1 again.
My audio mixing could probably be better. TBH. It's maybe a little touch bad.
KH1's gameplay system was really raw. Attack stuff with your Keyblade, use MP for magic, summons, and limits, and equip abilities as you progress. And that was pretty much it. Just jump and hit. A lot. A whole lot. So there's like magic and summons I could be using, right? Yeah? Yeah? Huh. Okay then. It takes a lot of time and experimentation to realize that things that aren't purely hit the X button then cure sometimes are actually viable options. Sometimes it's best to have a purely magic-based loadout. The precise use of gravity and stop can also be very effective. However, the average player will probably just go for straight combos the whole time and they'll do just fine. Maybe they experimented with a summon or two and realized they just kind of sucked. And there's nothing really wrong with that. Combos are fast and snappy and using them is fun. But you could tell that Square was experimenting, mixing real-time and turn-based combat elements together, and they didn't quite have it down yet. See,
I would probably redact that. There's some cool shit that you can do with Cage. I don't know if I would have presented it the way that I did. TBH. I don't know. Cage 1's pretty cool. Cage 1's pretty sick. It was mostly, I don't know. I think I could have done a better job there. Maybe I could have just jumped straight into Cage 2. I don't know. There wasn't really, I'm not really sure if there was a need for that Cage 1 segment.
it's when we hit Cage 2 where things really start to come together. The amazing thing about Cage 2's combat system to me is the variety, which sounds hilarious because fucking button mashing. But trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. See, in Cage 2, Square realized that most everyone who played Cage 1 mostly just used combos and nothing else for the whole game. So, in an interesting twist, instead of nerfing combos to force players to use other options, they changed certain elements of the game to enhance your combo ability, making the gameplay system fucking awesome! Magic was integrated into the combo system, allowing this really cool fusion of magic and keyblade combat. Summons were changed to make it easier to deal with mobs of enemies and land combos. Drives were introduced, giving you completely new combos, and each drive was suited for different situations. Like Master Form is perfect for aerial-based enemies, and Limit Form is suited for single-target enemies. Some limits were combo supports, and other limits were just your typical Limit Break style limits. But the amazing thing about all of this is none of these options overpowered the other. They're mostly all balanced and equally accessible. Let me give you an example. Say you're in a hallway with some notoriously annoying enemies. What option should you use? Should you A, use normal combos and magic?
Oh my
B,
God.
use a drive? C, use a summon?
Look at this shit. It's just, I literally just took the footage and then I just cut out the command menu and I put I couldn't have made like nice looking buttons. I didn't do that. Oh, BB, you poor little thing. Peak editing, dude. Okay, so I think maybe what I should have said, I really should have focused less on balance, and I should have just focused on the, like, everything's kind of fun. Like, using magic is fun, and using drives are fun, and using summons are fun. And I should have focused less on the balance part and just been like, hey, using this stuff is actually really cool. I do think I make that point. Probably could have redacted some of this a little bit.
Summon, or D, use a limit. The answer is actually E, all of the above.
Got him.
See, this is where the beauty of Cage 2 really shines. You can approach these enemies in any way you want, and not only are all of these options viable, they're all fun to use. And it doesn't end there. The bosses in Cage 2 are absolutely a thing of beauty. While I will admit there were
okay, I do get to the point where I'm like, they're not all great. No, there's some stinkers in Cage 2. It really shouldn't be like, oh man, fucking Cage 2 peak boss design, totally the best.
a lot of bosses that just amounted to find the weak point, hit the X button, hit the triangle button, and win. There were some bosses that incentivized you to sit back and learn how the boss worked and punish their weak points. Like Dimix, for example. Dimix had all these moves that would punish you for just going in without any thought.
Cage 2 is like
Zone you out
40%.
with
Yeah,
bubbles and water
true.
pillars. He just didn't give free combos like the other bosses did. The idea to beating a boss like Dimix is to stay safe, bait out his moves, and then punish him when he's vulnerable. Let's try a different example. Let's go with Terra.
BB, his name is Lingering Will.
Alright, so Lingering Will is
Can you say that in 2024? Can I say that? Can you say I'm gonna kill myself in 2024? Oh, you still can't. I have to say unalive now, right? Try again in 6 years. Oh, man.
Probably one of the best examples of boss design in a video game I've ever seen. Let's set this up. We've gone through all the worlds, beat all the bosses, beat the game, maxed out your drives, and maybe even visited the Cavern of Remembrance. Then you get to this guy, and you've heard he's super hard from all your friends. You give him a try, and you probably die within the first 15 seconds. You try again, same result. You try again for the next 3 hours, and maybe all you can do to this guy is a few bars of damage. You're just like, dude, this guy's fucking crazy, and he's got all these different moves, and he's super fast, it's fucking, how am I supposed to beat this guy? But see, over time, things start to click.
Fucking sequelitis. The sequelitis influence here is so strong. My goodness.
You've seen the Ultimate Canon or dozens of times, and you're starting to figure out how to deal with it. You're starting to get the timing for dodging the bow. Maybe you get some tips from friends about how to set up your combo, and maybe even try out Limit Form. You see, piece by piece, you're figuring him out, and you're actually getting farther and farther into the fight. Eventually, you get all the way to his final phase, and now you have this new attack that you have to learn how to dodge. Every attempt...
Oh, shit. Ah! No! Hold on. Gotta find my spot.
See, it's final phase, and now you have this new attack that you have to learn how to dodge.
Oh,
Every attempt, you're learning more and more, and you're getting closer and closer until finally, bam!
Okay, so revisionist history is taking effect. We're seeing people say Lingering Will isn't that good, actually. Yeah, so, okay, I don't agree with that. So, like, why do we not like him? Why do people not like Lingering Will? I think that this guy is definitely top 2. Like, top 2 super boss in the entire series. Like, if it's not Yozora, then it's this guy. Like, 100%. Some people hate Lingering Will's characteristic of being immune to damage while attacking. That's funny because KH3 did virtually the same exact thing where super bosses take reduced damage while they're attacking. Biscuit did a video talking about the issues with them. I mean, he has, okay, to be fair, he does have issues. Like, he's not like peak 10. Like, okay, so let's talk about the issues, right? So, like, round start, he has basically, he's an asshole. He can start the fight with a 50-50 mix-up. You need a pause buffer. Like, that I agree with. I agree that the start of the fight should not be a mix-up. You should not have to spam auto-limit to survive the first bit of the fight. 100%. I agree. I agree with that. I do think that there are some phases that are a little bit silly to deal with. And I do think that realistically you probably have to fight him a certain way as far as your combo layout. And you also have to keep track of HP gates. Otherwise, he just breaks out. Like, as soon as he hits the HP gate, he, like, will immediately retaliate with an attack. That I don't agree with. Those are some things that I definitely don't agree with. Like, if we're talking about, like, some of those janky bits, yeah, probably not so great. But other than that, I feel like the majority of his attack patterns are pretty fair and demanding. Like, his attack patterns are, like, demanding, I think, is part of it. Like, it should be moderately difficult to avoid getting hit by his stuff. But once you get past it, it feels really satisfying to actually get damage on him. The stupid bow lock I don't like. You can just dodge roll that. You can just reflect it, actually. It's, like, consistent every single time. Bow is, like, one of the freest openings that he has. His openers are the worst part of the... Yeah, no, I agree. Like, the openers are, like, literally all you'd have to do is have him start with, like, an animation at the beginning where, like, he, I don't know, does some shit, maybe flies around. All you'd have to do is not have the round start be a 50-50 mix-up, and that changes everything. But mostly past that point, this guy is awesome. What do I think about laser phase? Laser phase is mostly fine. Like if we really want to be, like if I want to be really pedantic about it, guys, summon Stitch. You can summon Stitch during laser phase. It like does the work for you. Like summon Stitch and then fight it normally. It's not that bad. Blizzaga Bike is pretty bad. That I don't know how to avoid, to be fair. But it's so rare that it's almost like this mythical attack that he throws out that you're almost like happy to see it. Level 1's kind of... Yeah, level 1 you kind of have to fight it a specific way. And even then, like there are like little things that you can do to make, like if you know how to use Final Form Firage, it can make things like super easy. If you know how limit form combos work, it can blow through like an entire phase like in one comp. Like I don't know, I don't buy it. I don't buy that this guy is suddenly a bad super boss. Like there's definitely stuff that's wrong with him, but guys, this guy was made in 2007. Limit and final are things, but they're cheese, right? I mean, I don't even know if I agree with that. Like, just because it's cheesy doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a strategy. Like, we could say that, like, revenge value looping Roxas is cheese because he never gets to fight because, like, you've got this perfectly planned... I don't know. Like, it's just... It's... At where do you draw the line? It's like, are we supposed to not use drive forms? Am I not supposed to use duck flare? Am I not, like, what am I, like, are we doing a with restrictions run of this guy? Like, I don't know. Do you think the devs use 12-hit Rs on this guy? No, but I also don't think that that even matters. Like, a dev-approved strategy, right? Like, emergent gameplay is like such a thing. Emergent gameplay is like, it's inherent in like almost every action game and any boss. So like any strat that comes out that like the devs didn't account for and didn't realize was possible that can cheese like a significant part of the game. It's like, I don't know. It's part of the game. It's in the game. Yeah, I mean, like, to a certain point. Like, yeah, negative combo strat, I would definitely say is mega cheese since it kind of invalidates the fight. But it's like, once you're, like, using resources and just, like, actually having to, like, okay, I'm going to plan out my drives so that I can use the strategy that I learned on the internet to get through this one phase. Like, is that cheese? Like, I feel like that's a strategy. I feel like that's what everybody's trying to find like the optimal thing in order to get through a fight because it's going to make it easier on them. And that's like using parts of the game. That's what the game wants you to do. Like the game wants you to do that. The game wants you to use its resources and use its mechanics in order to make the fights more, you know, make them easier, make them more interesting, make them more... It's just, yeah, I don't buy that. If you do like super low effort stuff to do absurdly strong effects, that's cheese. Like being honest, can you really say you learned the fight if you just... Oh my god. This is the Dark Souls thing all over again. Can you really say that you beat Radon if you summoned like 5 of your buddies and then you used a fucking Ash to mimic Ash to fucking do the thing? Like, God, I'm sick of this shit, dude. I'm so sick of this shit. You cheated the game and also yourself. Fuck, God. I used a shield and a thrusting sword. Thank you. Yes, good. Thank you. Holy fuck. Okay, so where were we getting at? Okay, so this boss is like top 2 super boss in the series. Okay, there are problems with it. This guy was designed in the Wild Wild West in fucking 2006, 2007 when nobody could make a boss fight in an action game like halfway good. Like people were fucking figuring this shit out as they were going. No one had any idea about anything as far as like fairness and like, you know, attack patterns and teaching the player and what is too much and what's too, like, no one had any idea how they did it. And this guy comes out and he's still historically like one of the greatest action game super bosses ever. And it's incredible. So I'm not going to take this nonsense that this guy like all of a sudden is like bad or something because like a few archaic things. Like I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I do not buy it. This guy is top 2 super boss in the entire franchise. 100%. Super fucking good. If you want to put Yozora above him, that's fucking fine. Yozora is way more streamlined. It's not nearly rough around the edges. It's way more clean. Pretty much everything is fair as far as dodging in the attack. Like, you can say that. That's fine. But I'm not going to take this fucking lingering will slander, okay? It's so good. This fight is so goddamn good. Okay. Anyway, moving right along. I guess. What a conversation I just had. I can't believe that people are just like all of a sudden retroactively trying to slander this man. This fight is so goated, dude. It's so good. Yeah, I totally understand if you like Yozora better. I totally understand if you like, I don't know, fucking Data Zimnus from KH3 better than him. Or, you know, a few other Datas from KH. I get it. I understand if you want the fight to be more clean. But this fight is so good. It's so goddamn good. Who thought? I have no idea. I mean, it's a bit aged. But, like, it's like, oh man, you know, it's you know, Lingering Wills, it's aged, you know, it's just not very good anymore. It's only the second best super boss in the entire I don't know. People apparently make it out to seem like this guy just isn't as cool as he used to be. Not true. This is fucking good fight. I don't know. It's really good. It's really good.
You did it. You finally beat him. And isn't that satisfying? Isn't the process of learning the boss, like learning the ins and outs and punishing his openings optimally way more satisfying than just mash X triangle win? It almost goes back to the old SNES days or NES days where you'd come across a stupidly unfair boss, but that feeling of satisfaction when you beat him after dying for hours and hours is just so sweet. This is why games like Dark Souls are so popular nowadays. They bring you back to that age of, you know, super difficult.
Did you guys know that 8 years ago I had not played a single Dark Souls game? I'm making this video, putting this footage up. I asked Dax to send me this footage. I asked Dax to send me this footage so that I could use it in my video because I had no idea how Dark Souls operated at all. I'm a fraud, dude. I'm a fraud. I'd never played a Dark Souls game up to this point. But I was on point. I was on point.
Gold NES bosses where if you aren't careful or calculating in how you approach them, you're just gonna die. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that all KH2 bosses are like Dark Souls by any means. You obviously have your fair share of baby bosses, sure. But Terra and the Data Organization 13 take a step into that realm of difficulty. And when you apply the mindset of looking for openings and avoiding taking unnecessary damage to the rest of the game,
Threshold is a good
you really
boss.
start to appreciate what the developers had in mind when they made this gameplay system.
This is a good boss.
So how
Really
different is Birth by Sleep to Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2? Well, way different. Like, Holy mother of God, look at all this new shit. So one thing you'll immediately notice is that Birth by Sleep removed needing MP to use magic and limits, and they replaced it with the command deck, where after you use a command, it will recharge until you can use it again, just like KH2's MP bar. Along with that, there's the command gauge that leads to new command styles and finishers. Shot locks are basically your limits, and they grant you invincibility. D-links allow you to use a different command deck, and they can be leveled up to become even more powerful. Commands themselves can also be leveled up, and they can be fused together and create even more powerful commands with abilities attached. There's 3 different playable characters, each with a unique playstyle. Like,
actually, okay, so the way that I wrote this, I wrote this on purpose to make it seem like Birth by Sleep was cooking. Like I was hyping up Birth by Sleep on purpose because I knew in like 5 seconds I was about to tear everything down. So like the to lie. So like this whole like each of the characters have their own unique play style. Fucking not true. Not actually true at all.
Oh my god, there is so much to try out here.
Building them up
so
for the
much
fall,
variety.
dude.
Maybe even more variety than Kingdom Hearts 2. This is what people have been talking about, this advanced gameplay system. And all
Oh
the
man,
reviews.
look at
So-
I love it. I love throwing up the reviews of how people fucking think this game is so goated just to fucking destroy it 5 seconds later. Oh man.
How does it hold up? Well, Kingdom Hearts 2 was heavily focused on combos, so let's see what the combos are like in Birth by Sleep.
Oh man, it's so bad.
Well, looks like combos kinda
That's so
suck.
bad.
Yeah, they suck in this game. They feel loose and slow and just aren't really fun to use. And there aren't any combo modifiers in Birth by Sleep like there were in KH2. The only time your combos change up are when you're in a command style, in which case they do get better, but still. But hey, it's not all bad. Maybe they're just trying something different. Kingdom Hearts has revolved around the combo system for so long that maybe they just want to give something else a try.
Oh man,
Shot
look
locks
at
and
me.
D-links have costs and fill their
Look at me. Look at me. I'm giving Birth by Sleep the benefit of the doubt. Look at that. So humble. Bloody Biscuits, such a humble guy. Always trying to look at it from both points of view.
their respective roles pretty well. D-links
Oh,
are really
jeez.
neat and actually become your strongest early game tool if you level it up early enough. The commands you have at your disposal early on aren't that great, and they can't really be integrated into your combos as well as you could in Kingdom Hearts 2. But, I mean, it's no big deal. They'll get better over time. There's nothing to worry about. So, I mean, the combat system looks okay for a handheld. It seems balanced enough. And that balance lasts.
About 3 fucking seconds.
You see these abilities? Attack and Magic Hastes speed up the recharge time.
I'm sorry, that's my kind of comedy, dude. If you do that and you shake something on screen, I'm just gonna die every single time. I think it's funny. I just do. It's so easy to make me laugh. God damn.
Of commands. And you can have up to 5 of them. See, look how quickly commands reload in comparison. You could have an entire deck full of commands and use all of them, and then the first one would already be reloaded by the time you use them all. What does this mean, ladies and gentlemen? To put it simply, commands do not have a cost. Wait, okay. So, if commands don't have costs, that means I could just use Magnega, Thundaga, Firaga, Fission Firaga, Ignite, Mind Square, Thunder Surge, etc. all without a cost? Well, then what's the point of everything else? See, this is Birth by Sleep's biggest shortcoming, and for Birth by
man.
Sleep's developer, Osaka Team, this is a running issue in a bunch of their games. Basic balancing is absolutely essential in any video game.
Okay, so like this is not okay. I was cooking, and then I think that this is probably the wrong conclusion that I should have been drawing. Okay, I'm not wrong. It is pretty weighted towards commands for sure, and I think it's like what I really should have focused more on is like it feels like you're waving around a magic wand, just pressing triangle to win. Haha, pressing triangle to win. Instead of like actually fighting with a keyblade. So maybe that's what I should have gone. Really, I think like what is it? Better Birth by Sleep or not? It's What's the mod? What's the mod for Birth by Sleep where you get to like animation cancel everything? Is it better BBS? Okay, yeah. So like that's just an example. Like it's a pretty obvious example that it's just like all you got to do is just let and I already did a KH talk on this, right? So it's just revisiting that. All you got to do is just let commands and combos flow together like spells and combos in KH2. That's all you have to do, and it pretty much it doesn't fix itself because there's still other issues with this game, enemy design wise. But if you design it from that point of view, then this game suddenly is cooking real quick. In fact, I think there's actually like dev footage before the game was released of Terra like doing this crazy combo where he does like Thunder Surge into combo into Aerial Slam or something, and it's all one single thing. Like there's no end lag anywhere in there. So at some point it seemed like they were making it like that, and then they decided not to make it like that. And I don't have any idea why they changed that. Because, oh my God, that changes literally everything. Like my entire perception of this game would be entirely different if that one single change was made or reverted. Like, and yeah, I guess maybe it's PSP limitations. And I mean, if you guys want to open that can of worms, maybe this game shouldn't have been on the PSP. Oh shoot! Oh man, maybe it should have been on the PS2. People would have fucking loved it. I don't know. Probably. I mean, I can open that can of worms some other day. But yeah, this game being on the PSP was just really unfortunate, and all of and that one decision to make it so that commands and combos and everything don't flow together was kind of the worst. I don't know.
Especially in an action RPG such as this one. It doesn't even have to be that complicated. Like, look at KH1. Hitting stuff with the keyblade was free, but if you wanted to use something stronger, like magic or a limit, you had to use MP. And KH2, again, really similar system. Hitting stuff with the keyblade was free, but if you wanted to use a drive or summon, it came out of your drive gauge. And if you wanted to use spells or limits, that would come out of your MP bar. But see, when commands are free, and commands are so strong, then what is the point of everything else that does have a cost in this game? What's the point of D-links? What's the point of shot locks? Why even use combos, even if you're in a command style? Need to clear out a wave of enemies? Just throw in some magnet commands and thunder commands and you're good to go. Just hit that good old triangle button to your heart's content. Coming up against a boss you're afraid you're gonna die to? No problem! Just load your deck with 3 or 4 cures and you'll literally never die.
Kind of true, yeah. Feel like they designed bosses with the knowledge that you could just do that. I'm kind of convinced, actually. I'm convinced that the gameplay loop was like in boss design was made with the idea that you would have like multiple magic hastes and multiple cures, which is unfortunate. Yeah.
I mean, sure, you could throw in a D-link here and a shot lock there for some variety, but does it really add to the gameplay? Do you feel like you're getting more out of the game if you just don't use the broken stuff in this game? And my answer to that is no. See, the key thing about KH2 was not only were all your options balanced, but most importantly, they were fun to use.
Hey, there we go.
And they were fun to use because your options were in a gameplay system that made sense. Now, what do
this is probably the most important. Like, when I say it made sense, like, it really is just like, hey, it was built on a foundational system where, like, guarding things, like, guard doesn't fail, and, iframes make sense, and I don't, like, just, like, the little things feel good, so combat just flows, whereas sometimes little things don't make sense in BBS, so combat doesn't flow. And in KH3 as well. That also applies.
What do I mean by that? Alright, what I mean is, when you combo an enemy, they get staggered, and if it's a bigger enemy, they get staggered by the finisher, so you can tell that you're doing something to it. When you guard something, you get invincibility from the guard, and you can counterguard to punish the enemy. It's just basic stuff like that, where the system where you interact with enemies and bosses feels fair. See, this is absolutely not the case in Birth by Sleep. Sometimes when you combo enemies, they'll stagger, and sometimes they won't, for no reason. Sometimes when you use counterattack, it'll work, and other times it just won't. Sometimes you'll be in the middle of your combo and it'll be deflected for no reason. Sometimes you'll go into a command style and die because of it. The point I'm making here is because the system is so wonky and fighting normal and
Fucking Ericus moment. Oh man, it's fucking funny. Classic, dude.
enemies is so frustrating in Birth by Sleep, why would you even want to deal with them? Just use all your overpowered commands and you.
Man, that was, hold on. Actually, let me look at that footage again. Where I was guarding the thing. That felt great. So Aqua's barrier, like even if so, like I successfully guard that, but because I'm in the end lag of successfully guarding something, I just take a damage from that. Where are the iframes? Why can't I move? I successfully guarded that attack. Why am I getting ganked by... What the fuck? Oh, God. It's fucking... Yeah. It's true. It is true.
Why would you even want to deal with them? Just use all your overpowered commands and you won't have to deal with them. This makes the command deck not only the most viable option, it's pretty much the only option you have to deal with unversed and bosses and... Holy shit, we haven't even talked about bosses yet. So, as I mentioned before with KH2, bosses were designed in a...
I do like that suddenly I'm starting to get like more and more just done with everything as I go through this video. Like, I'm just tired at this point talking about it.
Way that rewarded you when you decided to take a step back and figure
Just
out the boss's
exhausted.
patterns and avoid taking unnecessary damage. Even KH1 realized this with bosses like Sephiroth. Bosses in Birth by Sleep, though, are just a product of the shitty system that they're in. Man, what the fuck? So anything that's not a command or shot log just generally sucks against them.
Oh, man. Okay, wait a second. Okay, so I thought I was cringe. I actually fucking hilarious.
As this with bosses like Sephiroth.
Most replayed.
Bosses in Birth by Sleep, though, are just a product of the shitty system that they're in. Man, what the fuck? So anything that's not a command or shot log just generally sucks against them. Very rarely do you actually ever get rewarded for finding vantage points, so bosses just end up becoming big moving targets with health bars. Vanitas, the poster child for amazing boss design, just loves to teleport out of random hits, even if you do find a vantage point on him. Oh yay, a boss where I just get to sit back and reflect shots all day. Finally. Why would I even want to think when I'm playing an action RPG? Oh cool, a boss that just deflects all my openings and can instantly teleport behind me. How fun. I personally think the biggest defense of bosses in Birth by Sleep are the endgame bosses and beyond. We've already established thus far that commands are the best resource that you have, but once you hit endgame, that Geo Impact, or R Solum, or Time Splicer that you've been working on the whole game, it's completely worthless, and it'll probably end up getting you killed. Better break out those surges, mind squares, and cures. Like, you'd think that a game that pushes this one resource the whole time would actually reward you for using, like, a wide...
He breaks out, but he actually does give you time to react and act accordingly. Well, okay, so if you combine that with, like, the end lag and, form changing, like, and forced form changing of this game, then suddenly it's not so great. Like, suddenly you'll use, like, a Thunder Surge against him, and he'll teleport out of the first hit, and because you're in Thunder Surge, you can't get out. Like, he'll hit you on the end lag of the Thunder Surge. So, yeah. Like, there are multiple examples where fighting Vanitas is, like, he'll just punish you for using certain attacks. And if you use certain attacks and then he teleports out of them, he'll just fuck you up for it. Anyway.
Wide variety of commands, but instead only like 10% of your commands are any good. It just seems like such a slap in the face to the people who actually enjoyed BBS's command-centric battle system. Why use what's worked for 99% of the game? No, let's just sit back and reflect dark volley shots for maximum damage. Amazing final boss, Square Enix. You really outdone yourself this time.
Oh man.
Super bosses in Birth by Sleep.
Did you guys see that super armor? That was that was Thunder Surge, by the way. That was insane. Oh, I'm going back.
Phoenix.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Punish the end lag. Immediately starts up. Like, no. Oh my god.
Done yourself this time. Super bosses in Birth by Sleep are just... I'm not even sure if there's a word to describe how poorly designed they are. Oh man, this is really hard to avoid. I'm really using my tactical prowess and stuff. Oh yeah, this move, I'm really feeling the hype. Just take a look at this architecture, man. Like, all these blocks and shit. And this move that lasts 5,000 years. Oh yeah, I'm really using my brain for this one. Do you know how much brain power it takes to press the square button? Cause it's a lot. It's like they were sitting at the Square Enix office or whatever, developing these bosses like,
hey Jim,
Yeah, Bob?
remember
It's
when bosses
Asa.
in Cage 2 had identifiable weaknesses and you could punish them for it?
Yeah?
Well, I was thinking for this guy, we could just make him, you know, not have those anymore and just make you eat shit for trying anything on him.
Man, that is a fantastic idea. You remember when those bosses in Kingdom Hearts 2 actually got
Man, that is a... I love the delivery, dude. It's so good.
stunned for taking hits?
Yeah?
Well, I thought that was pretty stupid. Check this guy out. I made him not get stunned ever, and he just teleports around spamming moves, leaving you hopeless.
Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah, I thought that whole avoiding taking damage thing was fucking stupid. I think we should punish them on the spot and make them eat shit the whole fight. I really think this will push the meta of boss development.
You know what, Jim? I think you're right.
Hey, we're here.
is there really anything that I need to say about this guy that hasn't already been said? If you use combos, you'll get punished. He's really only weak to surges and only has one safe opening.
Sham, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but this guy fucking sucks, dude. All right, and no, you can't. No amount of videos of you using weird ass commands to fight this guy is gonna make him any better. This guy sucks, dude. This fight is bad. This fight is bullshit. No cope allowed. I don't care how many times you fight this guy using D-Links or fucking whatever. I don't care. It's bad. This fight is garbage. It is horrible.
And even then, if you exploit that weakness too much, you'll get punished. So if you're playing as Aqua or Ven, all you have to do is exploit that weakness and then dodge roll the rest of the fight, and you'll be safe. For Terra, you have to deal with moves like lasers, tornado, mega flare, doom, raging storm, and halfway through the fight, he casts vanish too. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Birth by Sleep's version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories.
Yeah!
I'm not even sure if I would really classify this as a boss. In an actual boss fight, you have to strategize, find weaknesses, time dodges, avoid taking damage, manage your resources, and it makes you feel like you're actually like interacting with something. And that something is challenging you.
mentioned.
This does not feel like that. There's no real strategizing. There's only one weakness to punish, and you don't have to time any dodges unless you're Terra. And in that case, you just dodge until you get hit, and when you do get hit, you just use Cure. And then you're most likely to get hit by Doom or Tornado or whatever, so why do I even care? The sad thing is Lingering Will and Mysterious Figure seem like very similar bosses. They both have a huge arsenal of moves. They
look
move
at
in and
this.
close distance on you really quickly.
Look
You
at
can
this.
Get comboed to shreds by both of them. But with Lingering Will, you can't just spam dodge.
Oh,
roll
look
and
at the
win.
comparison.
You have to time your dodges. You have to predict what's coming and react. You have to constantly be thinking about the next move, otherwise you'll get trashed. The difference is with Mysterious Figure, you only feel like you're doing a lot, and that's because you're mashing the square button a bunch to dodge, and you're seeing your character dodge all these crazy moves, and the Music makes you feel like the fight is super hype. But are you actually thinking about his next move and what to do? No, not really. All you have to do is roll, punish the move, roll, repeat. And if you don't have a roll, then yeah, it's almost like I forgot Terra was a character in this game when they designed this boss. And I mean, it's not really that surprising since Terra is such a forgettable character though. Hey! The bottom line is Lingering Will forces you to really think about
Audio
what you're
balancing
doing
again,
and have
but
things
yeah.
planned out. But with Mysterious Figure, you don't have to really think at all. And that leads to my final point. See, even with the bullshit bosses and the wonky battle system, people still defend Birth by
Oh
Sleep's
my god.
gameplay.
Did you guys see that? Hold on. Did you guys... Oh, go back. Did you guys see Erica's teleport? Let me see this shit. Hold on. Here we go. Slow motion. Here we go. So we're frame by frame. Here we go. We got him. He's in the air. We're going to juggle him. We're going to hit him with the second part. Here we go. Oh, shit. Teleports. He's guarding midair. He is guarding midair, ladies and gentlemen. Look at him. He is in the air. He does not care. He got hit. He is now standing in midair, guarding. He's back down. He doesn't give a shit. And now you will fucking feel the wrath of Ericus. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Still defend Birth by Sleep's gameplay and find it enjoyable, and I could never really figure out why that is. But I think I see what makes BBS so appealing to people, and this is the reason. Birth by Sleep is mindlessly easy. And don't take that the wrong way, that's not meant to be an insult to people who like Birth by Sleep's gameplay. What I mean by this is, Birth by Sleep is exactly like Cookie Clicker. If you've never heard of this game before, just Google it, it's free. Just play it for like 5 minutes and you'll see what I mean. It starts off...
Holy shit, what is this browser? Is this Firefox? I think this is Firefox. Oh hey, sequelitis. There you go. Yep. Sequel. If you couldn't already tell what I was immediately focused on, sequelitis. No, this isn't a Mac. This is a PC. Playoffs. Solid docs. Oh yeah, go ahead. Nice docs, dude. No one's can you believe it? How have I not been doxed yet? Like this should be easy. Like I should have ate shit for this 8 years ago.
Slow at first, just like Birth by Sleep starts off slow, but once you buy some auto clickers, grandmas, cookie farms, things just skyrocket and you're just making cookies like crazy. You keep clicking and the numbers get bigger to the point where you just don't want to stop. The clicky sound is nice, the achievements, the little plus you see every single time you click. All these gameplay elements are just mindless and addictive. It's the same exact reason why phone games like Candy Crush are super popular. They're just designed to be addictive, and there's a lot of science to back that up. And this has a lot to do with Birth by Sleep because it has a lot of the same addictive elements. Using Magnega and Thundaga to blow away a whole wave of enemies and seeing all the bright health and money drops just makes you feel happy. It creates positive reinforcement.
Birth by Sleep is the best gacha game ever made. Look at that. That's crazy.
The mindless melding of commands, the constant power-up feeling in a command style, all the sparkly and flashy particle effects. The game is constantly encouraging you and teaching you that the triangle button is the fun button. And I won't deny that I enjoyed plowing through Mirage Arena with a couple Mega Flares and then spamming Shotlock on the boss. These are mindless gameplay aspects that work on everyone. But here's my problem. In Kingdom Hearts 2, you were allowed to play the game in a mindlessly easy mash X to win way, similar to Birth by Sleep. But you were also allowed to play...
Shib, if they did that, this game, Birth by Sleep, would be it would not be... it would not be the lowly 6 out of 10 that it is. It would be at least an 8.5.
In a complex way. In fact, I would even say that playing smart enhanced your overall playing experience because it felt more rewarding when you beat a boss with your wit and overall knowledge of the game. But with Birth by Sleep, you can't play it in a complex way. The system just doesn't allow for it. You can use a D-Link here or a creative command here, but for the most part, you're just going to be using the same exact thing, rinse and repeat, the whole game through. And I personally think that Kingdom Hearts deserves better. So, to sum everything up, let's answer the questions from all the way in the beginning of the video. So, number 1. How does Birth by Sleep compare to Kingdom Hearts 1?
So, I mean, I wonder if I should summarize. I don't know. So I think there was definitely some story stuff that I probably could have definitely. I mean, I really don't hate this game as much as it might seem. I definitely trashed it. Like, I definitely had some fun with it in this video. But, like, I think story-wise, I think I probably could have done a better job. There were some parts where I definitely could have done a better job explaining how I felt. Like, the story really could have been easily remedied with just, like, one or two things. Like, it really wasn't that hard. They were so close to hitting the mark with tragedy, I guess, with me, and they just didn't. Most of the gameplay stuff was pretty spot on. Yeah, I think it was. Most of the gameplay stuff was pretty spot on, I would say. Maybe the way that I structured some things in the beginning could have been changed a little bit, but yeah, no.
In Kingdom Hearts 2. Like I mentioned before, it was certainly rated as one of the best KH games ever made. However, it seems that critics viewed Birth by Sleep from a surface level perspective instead of delving deeper to notice how bland both the characters and the combat both were. Which I find interesting because KH2 was criticized heavily for its Mash X gameplay, but Birth by Sleep? What? There's no button mashing in this game. What are you talking about? But the funny thing is, for as much as I absolutely despise this game, if I had to rate it, it would probably get like a 6 out of 10.
That's an insult. I'm saying this like, oh, dude, 6 out of 10 ain't bad. That's an insult. People will burn you at the stake for a 6 out of 10. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking 8 years ago.
It's not the worst game in the world by any means. There are far worse games out there nowadays. At least this one actually functions normally.
Yeah, buddy, don't go to sleep
somewhat.
tonight.
The real reason I hate this game is because it changed Kingdom Hearts.
Well, hold on. Wait a second. What was that? Hold on. What did Armor of the Master just do? Give me a second. I'm going back. Give me a second. I gotta...
Normally.
Huh? Huh?
Somewhat.
Huh? I don't know how that happened. I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened.
The real reason I hate this game is because it changed Kingdom Hearts as a whole. Basically, Birth by Sleep was the turning point of the franchise. At the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, Nomura saw that people loved Kingdom Hearts 2 for multiple different reasons, and decided to focus on expanding the story and making the flashy gameplay more accessible and easier to understand. The problem, though, is Nomura forgot, or he didn't even realize, that there was more to Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 than just complex story and flashy gameplay. And because Birth by Sleep...
Okay, so like I think we're kind of on the right track. I think we're kind of on the right track. Oh, go back. Go back. Expand the KH universe, make flashy gameplay. Okay, so I think so like the storytelling revolved less on character moments and character development driving the story, and more on what's the next cool lore bit, what's the next crazy plot twist, what's the crazy next character reveal, what's in the what's in the box. We've said what's in the box like 10 times at this point. It's about that. That's what's important, and less about the characters themselves. Make flashy gameplay easier to... It's really... I think it's less that, and it's just like... flashy gameplay easier to understand. I'm not even sure if that's a good summary of what happened here. It's more just like... Osaka, on their first few tries, didn't know how to boss design or enemy design, and then mysteriously took away the ability to combo between commands and normal attacks. And that basically sealed the deal. Like, it's just kind of those two things. Like, if you enemy design better and you not necessarily do exactly what Better Birth by Sleep did, because you can do like weird shit that I don't necessarily agree with, but yeah, I guess easier to understand. Like the command menu, I think, is supposed to be meant to be more accessible. But yeah. KH2 was more of a turning point in term of plot, as it's when Nomura decided every single thing. Yeah, it was more on, because like KH2's big reveal was like, oh shit, that's not Ansem, that's the Xehanort's Heartless, and the real Ansem is over here, and the real bad guy is Xehanort's nobody. Who's this Xehanort guy? I don't know, but we gotta take care of this Xemnas guy. That's a big deal. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that there were more character moments in KH2 for sure. Just the existence of Roxas, I think, is pretty substantial. But yeah, I would agree that kind of KH2 kind of started the downward descend, and then Birth by Sleep really kind of sealed the deal and was like, yeah, we're definitely going in this direction.
Story and making the flashy gameplay more accessible and easier to understand. The problem, though, is Nomura forgot, or he didn't even realize, that there was more to Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 than just complex story and flashy gameplay. And because Birth by Sleep was the turning point, and because it didn't have those essential elements that made KH1 and KH2 great, they developed the other games the same exact way they developed Birth by Sleep, and they have the same exact flaws. And this answers the second question: how does Birth by Sleep impact the rest of the Kingdom Hearts series? DayZ attempted to create backstory, but instead made the series even more confusing with the introduction of Shion. And its game...
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go back on that one. I think I'm gonna go back on that one. I don't really hate Shion nearly as much as I did 8 years ago. I think DayZ story is pretty A-okay. I definitely think that the inclusion of Shion makes the story more confusing, but I really don't hate Shion anymore. Shion's fine. Gameplay though. Gameplay pretty bland. Could be much better. Was definitely severely hampered by the fact that it was on the DS. And that's pretty much it. Like, that's all there is to it, really. So, you know, DayZ remake win. Yeah. DayZ probably gets annihilated, unfortunately, just because it's on the DS, and it really, like, it's unfortunate. Can't believe we're asking for a DayZ remake. Can we, okay, so if we're gonna do a DayZ remake, can we not do the stealth missions? Or the examine mission? Yeah, so like, I think Nomura himself even admitted that the idea behind DayZ was you were supposed to play like one mission a day, and it was supposed to be like oh man, like Roxas is like going out and doing his daily job like me, like a day in the life, you know? But a day in the life on the job is pretty shitty, especially when you gotta fucking examine shit and you gotta stealth dodge shit, and so like there are definitely a lot of things that I would change about DayZ, unfortunately. During that era where it was very focused on the mission-based portable game structure, yeah, it was supposed to be like the daily, like, hey, you bring it with you to work and you play it on the train and you play it on that sort of thing.
Gameplay with its panel system and mission system was really by no means stellar or impressive. Recoded's plot is just...
what I really am is Jiminy's journal.
Something. And while I think Recoded pulled off the command deck really well, it was bogged down by all the gimmick stages where you couldn't use normal combat.
True! Also, yeah, fucking Recoded story is just another one of those we just don't want to talk about it.
Combat. Dream Drop Distance story is just... Wow. and its gameplay is almost a...
Guys, if you want to know the game that I truly hate, that I truly despise, it's this one. This is the one. Okay? This is the big bad. This game is awful. It is so bad. It is so bad.
Carbon copy of Birth by Sleep.
Title released. I so badly wanted to make a video titled Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance: The Breaking Point, because that's what Dream Drop Distance was to me. It was the breaking point. It was there is no going back. It is just shit. The story is shit, and that's just what it's going to be. All right? That's just how it is. You should. And the gameplay is bad. It is just bad.
Released around Birth by Sleep's release shared the exact same flaws as Birth by Sleep. They were all full of unnecessary story complications and completely unpolished battle systems. And now we have Chi, which is a prequel to Birth by Sleep with even more new characters and more backstory. This is the series that we're left with, ladies and gentlemen.
Union Cross. Oh, man. I love it. I love it.
Gentlemen. And we're still waiting for KH3 all these years later. Only this time, the hype that followed the release of KH2 is transformed into, sadly, a lot of disappointment.
And now Missing Link.
Now, before I end this video, I'd like to point out a few things. If you enjoy Birth by Sleep as a game, even after watching this entire video, that is perfectly fine. You have every right to. I would never sit here and tell you that you played and experienced the game the wrong way. It just comes down to different opinions and tastes. While this video is certainly my personal take on Birth by Sleep and how much I don't like the game, I would never try and force anyone to think and feel the same exact way I do about the game.
Hey, reminder daily that this is true, and if you go on Twitter, a lot of people don't agree with this, and they're like, if you say bad thing about my game, then it is the end of the world, and I will hate you forever, and that's it. So, yeah. If you like Birth by Sleep, you can like Birth by Sleep. It's fine. I don't nearly as much, okay? I just don't.
My goal was never...
Did you guys know that I used to like this game? I played this game almost religiously in high school, actually. Brought it with me all the time. Played the shit out of it. Like, on the PSP. Fucking thought this game was cool at one point in time. And then I didn't. And that's just how, you know, I played it enough and realized there were things about it that I really just didn't like. And that's just how it be.
To do that. The goal of this video, however, is to challenge you. It's to hopefully get you thinking critically about this series. To get you to ask questions and think that maybe the direction Square Enix is taking...
Motherfucker had the printed cheat sheet. Wait, Asa, did I show you that? Because I did. I literally had... So I think it was like the Brady Games command meld guide all the way in the back. I literally printed that shit out. It was like 20 pages. I had that shit printed out and stapled. And if I ever needed to meld anything, I would just look in my little Bible. I would look at that printed out sheet, that little thing, and I would... That's how I'd meld everything. Oh, man.
And the story isn't the best, and maybe you could have done things differently. Maybe the combat system in Birth by Sleep I've loved all this time really isn't the greatest, and maybe KH2 really is more than just a button masher. Everybody has different...
I shouldn't have said it. Like, it's not KH2 good, BBS bad. It's not KH1 good, BBS. It's like, those are the things. Like, those are the little things where I would, like, reframe it and be like, no, it's not just that. It's... So, yeah. Like I said. And I wonder if maybe people don't take this video as nearly as seriously anymore because of the humor. Like, that's... Okay, so I think that's been the shift, right? I feel like the shift in discourse when it comes to video games is if you have humor or if you're super tongue-in-cheek about how you talk about the game, then you're just shitting on it, right? I think that's how people see it now, because people don't do that anymore. Like if you do the sarcastic tongue-in-cheek make jokes at the expense of game thing, then you're shitting on it. Like that's how people immediately take it. So like people don't do that anymore. Like if they want to make an analysis, they just make it just a very straight to the point kind of analysis. It does read as you kind of hating the fuck out of this video game. I am definitely making a shit. I'm definitely Sequelitis was in your tabs. Different. Yeah, right. Like, yeah. Back then, that's just what people did. Like, if they didn't like a game, they would just make fun of it in a video. Your jokes were definitely charged. I definitely did not like this game. I definitely did not. Maybe my stance is probably softened a little bit, where I don't really care nearly as much as I used to. But yeah, like mostly what I had to say in this video, the majority of what I had to say I wouldn't change, I think. Only man brave enough to tell it how it is.
Different tastes and opinions, and I acknowledge that. But if I can get you to think critically about how Square is handling this series, then I've done my job. I'm on the same team as you guys. I want Kingdom Hearts 3 to do well, but...
True! I love Kingdom Hearts. I love this franchise. Like, people will legitimately tell you that I hate this franchise. I don't. I actually love Kingdom Hearts, like, with all of my heart, and I wish that I liked some of the later installments. You have no idea how much I wish... You guys have no idea how much I wish I liked KH3. How much I wish I could love KH3. Like, I so desperately want to. I want to be in that camp. I want to love it. I want to, but I can't. And that hurts my feelings. Like, it really does. I want to love Kingdom Hearts. But there are just things that there are some things about what they've done that I don't like, and that's just how it be.
I think the way that Square has been doing things up to this point is not how we're going to get there. Do I think that Kingdom Hearts 3 will be a good game? Not sure. But hey, one can only hope.
I sure did. And then I threw Simple and Clean in the credits, and then YouTube was like, Lamau, don't do that. We're going to fucking mute this part of the video. So, yeah. All right, cool. Video over. Demonetized. 3 H's Asa. Yeah. Will KH3 be a good game? KH3 is a good game. KH3 is the third best game in the franchise. That's how I feel. KH3 is the best Osaka game. Osaka Kingdom Hearts game ever made. Doesn't that sound awesome? Like, just saying it like that. Like, Kingdom Hearts 3 is the best Osaka team Kingdom Hearts game ever made. It's the third best game in the franchise. Like, that sounds awesome. Maybe even number 2. But, you know. Anyway. Yeah. I'll probably highlight that part, and then that'll probably be the end of it.